All right, we're cruising in our rational unit. And again, a rational is a ratio, a fraction. So today we talk about one of the tougher topics today and tomorrow. We talk about adding and subtracting fractions. Now, in order to do that, you have to remind yourself you need common denominators. Okay? You can't add or subtract a fraction without a common denominator. So that's what this property is showing. I have to have the same denominator in order to add fractions. So if the denominators are the same, I just make one big fraction of r, and I call that p plus q on top. And if my denominators are the same, I just make it one fraction of r, and I say that's p minus q. But the deal is, I have to have that common denominator. Okay, so if I had 2/7 plus 1/7, I'm going to keep my common denominator of 7, and I'm going to add 2 plus 1 to get a total of 3/7. But again, that only works if you have a common denominator. So the concept is simple, right? The execution you got to worry about. And when does it happen the most? With subtraction, friends, because we still have issues subtracting. All right, so let's try to get over these things here. So I have y squared and y squared, common denominators. Life is good. All right, so I can make one fraction of y squared and add my 8 plus 10, and I should simply just get 18 over y squared. I bet you're thinking this is really simple. All right, let's look at example 2. Let's put a star here, because again, this is where everybody screws up on these subtractions. Common denominators. Life is good. X plus 3 is the common denominator. Where could we possibly screw this up? Right here. Every time you see a minus sign, your brain has to wrap everything after it in a parenthesis. Because I'm not subtracting x squared. I'm subtracting this whole thing. So I have to take my first x squared, and now I have to take this minus, and I have to distribute to everybody there. I'm subtracting everybody after this. So minus x squared minus 2x, and that's going to become a plus 3. Okay? You have to subtract everybody. So now let's clean it up. The x squareds are going to cancel, and I end up with negative 2x plus 3 over x plus 3. Now, I want to make sure it's simplified, so I'm going to look. Do I have a GCF? No. Do I have perfect squares or perfect cubes? No. So we are indeed done. All right, now they're going to get a little uglier. Oh, look, common denominator. Life is good. We're going to make one fraction with that denominator. X squared minus 4x minus 12. It's a plus, hallelujah. So I just have x minus 9 plus 3. So that turns into x minus 6 over x squared minus 4x minus 12. Now, as we get going, they get tougher. This is not done because this can still get factored. So I have x minus 6 over, multiplies to 12, adds to 4. I'm going to go 6 and 2. I need a negative 4, so that's a negative 6 and a positive 2. Okay, so after I add, I'm making sure I'm simplifying. These x minus 6's are the same. Remember, that cancels to a 1. So I'm left with 1 over x plus 2. All right, save the toughest one for last. All right, so loving that my denominators are the same. Whew. Here's that hiccup again, though, that minus sign. What you have to do every time you see a minus, you got to wrap up everything after it. Okay, now it's not going to be there for you in any of these problems. You've got to keep saying that to yourself. So I'm going to make my one fraction with the common denominator. I'm going to take my first term, 4a minus 1, and now I have to take that minus and distribute. Minus 3a plus 2. So as I keep going, let's see like terms. 4a minus 3a is just a. Minus 1 plus 2 is minus 1. over a squared plus 7a plus 6. Now again, I got to say to myself, am I done or am I not done? I've got to simplify. So I've got to see if I can factor any more. Multiply, add, multiply. So 6 and 1 are 2 and 3. I think I'm going to go 6 and 1. A plus 6 and a plus 1. And I think I added incorrectly. Negative 1 plus 2 is a positive 1. My Lanta. I think I got a positive 1 here. Glad I caught that. So now I do have something that can cancel. The a plus 1s can cancel. Remember, they divide to a 1. So I am left with 1 over a plus 6. Just for fun, let's talk about this as a little review for our test next week. What makes these fractions undefined? Remember, undefined is when the bottom equals 0. So the only number I can't have here would be a equals, can you do it in your head? Negative 6. That would make my fraction undefined. How about from example 3? Can't divide by 0. So the only number that would make this undefined would be x equals negative 2. So again, my domain would be all real numbers except those. Okay, so like I said, today's topic was fairly simple. We're going to see most of the time, 99% of the time, they're not going to give you common denominators. So our goal for the uncommon denominators is our next class meeting, but we're going to start practicing finding common denominators. All right? So it says factor each denominator completely. Find the common factors and the uncommon factors. The product of these is the least common denominator. So I'm going to walk you through an example of what I mean, and I'm going to start with 5 here. Okay. So it says we're pretending this is the denominator of something. There's some number on top, some number up top. Don't really care what it is. We're pretending these are two denominators. I can't add them together right now because they don't have common denominators. So here's what you do. It says factor each denominator completely. So let's factor this one. Trinomial. So I have x and x, 1 and 1. I'm going to go minus, minus. Then I'm going to factor this one that I'm pretending is the denominator. X plus 1, x minus 1, difference of perfect squares. Okay, so we're going to factor each denominator completely. We're going to find the common factors and the uncommon factors. So the common factors, what do they share that's the same? What do they have in common? They each share an x minus 1. What are the uncommon factors? What's left that they didn't share? Well, this guy had an x plus 1 and this guy had an extra x minus 1. So common is what they both shared. Uncommon is what's left over. Therefore, the least common denominator is x minus 1, and x plus 1. Okay, it is the product of everything. And again, 99% of our questions are not going to have common denominators, so we're just kind of building to practice this least common denominator idea. Let's try number 6 here. Okay, so we're pretending this is the denominator of something and this is the denominator of something. They're not alike, so I cannot add them together. So my goal is to find the least common denominator. So I factor each one. So we have a nice trinomial. 1 and 1. Minus, minus. I'm going to factor this one. X plus 1 and x plus 1. And I'm going to ask myself, what is the common factor? What do they share? They don't share anything. What is the uncommon factor? Well, I guess all of them are. X minus 1, x minus 1, x plus 1, and x plus 1. Therefore, the least common denominator is all of that. That may not be the best example. They didn't have one thing in common. All right, let's see if the last one fares out better here. Let's see. This time I have 3 fractions that I'm probably trying to add or subtract together. Okay, so I'm going to look for all their denominators. I'm going to take this middle one first because it's not guess and check. It's the easiest one. So 16. 1 and 16. 2 and 8. 4 and 4. Oh, think 4 and 4 is my winner, so I'm going to go x plus 4 and x plus 4. Alright. Oh, we got a little guess and check here. Alright, so that my only option is 2x and x. Remember, I need a negative 1 in the middle. So I can go 1 and 6 or 3 and 2. I think I'm going to go 3 and 2 in my head quick here. 3 and 2. That's going to get me a 3 and a 4. That can get me a negative 1 if my 4 is negative and my 3 is positive. 2x and x. Let's see, I can go 1 and 12, 2 and 6, or 3 and 4. Again, I need to get an 11 in the middle. Let's see, if I go 4, that's going to get me 8, 9, 10, 11. That would work. Okay, so I'm trying to add 3 fractions together, and I'm trying to figure out what my least common denominator is. So I'm going to think about what my common factors are. What do they all share? Man, they all don't share anything. These are not great examples. And my uncommon factors, they all don't share anything. Look at that. So I don't have anything that they share. My uncommon factors are going to be one of everybody. I need a 2x plus 3. I need an x minus 2. I need 2x plus 4s. I need a... Oh... All right, so actually, I'm going to say the common factors are any that they have in common. So although they all don't have something in common, 2 of them share a 2x plus 3. So I'm going to call that a common factor. They share 1x plus 4, so I'm going to say that's a common factor. But the x minus 2 is not shared with anyone, so I'm going to call that an uncommon factor. And the second x plus 4 is not shared with anyone. So I'm going to say my least common denominator is my 2x plus 3, my x plus 4, my x minus 2, and my second x plus 4. And we're going to work more on this over the next few days. Obviously, the main lesson today was talking about common denominators, and we're going to get better at finding these uncommon denominators.